This is a quick video on how you can make your customers, clients, or users worth 10 times more. I did this when I started my business. My first client was worth just about 10 grand, so it was barely over 4 figures. And recently, this year, we had our first client that hit 6 figures in lifetime value. And I've learned a couple things about making clients worth more. There are essentially 3 components to trying to make a client's lifetime value greater. It starts firstly by getting the basics right. Being advanced means getting the basics right. I see so many people fuck this up. I actually had a recent experience which really made this obvious. I hired an agency for help with something. Let's say this agency makes donuts and I hired them to make a bunch of donuts. This is a real experience that just happened to me. I just don't want to get into the details of it, but essentially I paid them a bunch of money, more than I would, probably pay other people to do the same thing. But I thought they were good, they had a strong brand, and I thought, okay, this is something that I want to believe in, and I went ahead and did it with them, and I paid a premium. Absolutely. They do a lot to take care of their customers with extra little bits and bobs. They send these little tips. So for example, a weekly tips about donuts. They also they're sending a welcome package with a nice little mug with their brand on it. And I'm talking it's a proper nice mug. It's got a little rubber base. It's a little rubber version of their logo in a ceramic mug. It's a really nice mug. They also send, I think, a book and a couple other nice bits and bobs. And we're talking good quality, very good quality things. And the book that they send is actually called Unreasonable Hospitality, which, I think drives this idea of they want to do so much to take care of their customer. The thing is, the donuts they make are shit. I am pretty mad with their service, and I absolutely do not want to renew my contract because fundamentally the work that I paid them to do is not getting done. No matter how many weekly tips they send me about donuts and all the nice things they might send me as welcome packages, the one service that I'm paying them to do is not getting done properly. And I'm absolutely fuming about it because I paid them a premium and they're doing worse than the average. I am not interested in continuing their service, and I'm absolutely never going to refer anybody to them. If there's one mistake that I think most people do in trying to increase their customer value, is they don't solve the one problem the customer is paying for. What is the one reason that a customer is actually using your app, your service, whatever it is, your product? What is the one reason they actually bought it? And if it does not fulfill that function, what the hell are you doing worrying about anything else? The one thing you have to focus on, and this was one of my first mistakes, is at the start, my fulfillment was not good enough, to be honest. Just the quality of the products that we made, the quality of what we were able to produce was not good enough. And so the first thing was getting that right. That becomes right by firstly, either you doing it yourself and making sure it's good and knowing what good quality means. And then secondly, vetting people when you hire them. So making sure you have really, really good people. But in general, it's just about focusing on making the service really good. The way you can make a service good is by doing 2 things. Firstly, worrying more about the details. So being aware of all the little design details, all the little implementation details, the architecture, are you thinking about every single little detail? And the second thing is speed. Fundamentally, these 2 things make your service just way better. If you pay attention to every single detail in your project and you do it extremely fast, you will have one of the best services on the market, or products, or apps, whatever it is. The first thing is do the basics right. Only then can you be advanced. Right? So just get the one thing that people pay you to do, get that right before you do anything else. And this is a continuous process of improvement, but this is the first building block that you want to do if you want to increase your customer lifetime value. First things first, the service has to be good. I have a golden rule in my development company, and that is basically that a client should never ask where is their project or how are things coming along. At every single point in time, they should have some piece of communication or something to fall back on to answer these questions. They should never have to come to me and ask what's going on with the project. If they ask what's going on with the project, I should immediately be able to point them to a resource that says what's going on. And so for me, I do lots of weekly check-ins, things like that. Basically, I reduce the uncertainty so that they know what's going on behind the curtains. So me and my engineers are in our workshop. The client is in their office. At all times, you should make sure the client can know what's happening in the workshop. It is your responsibility to provide that transparency. And that is something that makes clients a lot more assured. Communication is a massive issue, especially in the development space. The fact that we communicate so openly has been a big bonus point for our clients. This applies to things like applications as well. How can you reduce the user's uncertainty? For example, Uber did this when they implemented the little map where you can see the car driving along. Originally, Uber didn't have that. And I think Uber hired a couple behavioral scientists or something, and they basically studied the fact that people would rather wait for longer, but know where the car is, than wait for, let's say, shorter, 2-3 minutes, whatever, but not know where the car is. Because you don't know if he's across the road, you have no idea where he is. And that is something that causes a lot of stress to humans. In general, we hate uncertainty. And so second thing that you can do is just dial in on how can you reduce the uncertainty for the user of what's going on at all times. For me, in fulfilling a service, that's providing regular updates. You have to think through, in your application, in your service, whatever you provide, where do you have uncertainty and where can you reduce that? At what point in time is the client thinking, I wonder what's going on right now? And how can you reduce that and put it on a screen, right? Or put it in a video. For us, sometimes we do demos, we do videos, we do wrap-ups, where I write things down and I send it over. I try and communicate this stuff as much as possible. And I operate on a policy of over communication, and that generally tends to make clients very, very happy. And they don't come and ask, oh, well, what have you been doing? Because there's a log week by week, week 1, week 2, week 3, all the way, 30, 40 weeks, whatever, however long it takes. They've got a log of every single thing we've been doing. Every single week, I produce it, I put it in the Notion document for them, and they have it there. And so that is a really, really powerful strategy to basically reduce that uncertainty, and that makes clients a lot happier. The third thing is packaging. Presenting in something that looks really professional. From the pitch to the delivery, presenting in a really professional way goes a long way toward getting people to trust you more. If I see a presentation that's really poorly designed, it tells me immediately that this person does not have attention to detail. This person does not have pride in their work or is not bothered to make this thing look good. I think design is a really important aspect, and constantly I find myself wanting to improve things. Sometimes design is not the constraint, right? I have found myself sometimes I will try and improve the design of the website, when in reality, that's not what I need to be doing. But when it comes to, client communication, going the extra mile to make things look nice and make things presentable. So for example, in my pitch decks, I made sure that they were very well designed and they were on brand. If we produce some Notion documents, we'll make an effort to organize the information and put it nicely. The packaging around the product or service that you offer is what makes the client feel that you go above and beyond. Because the packaging in and of itself is probably not what they pay for. But if you do it well, it shows that you go the extra mile for them. And that's the same thing that happens if you go to any luxury store and you buy something from them. Let's say you go and buy a really nice watch. You're gonna be taken in and they'll give you sparkling water or champagne, and they'll take you into the nice boutique, and they'll put the gloves on and they'll show you all the nice things one by one. They sit you down and then they give you a really nice box. All this packaging goes into this feeling of the extra mile and this feeling of importance and things like that. And so you wanna create that same thing for your clients and customers. You want to make them feel that you care, feel that you go the extra mile. You want to make them feel like they're investing in something premium. Even if the price point isn't premium, if it looks and feels premium to the touch, then I think that can go a really, really long way. I think this is one of the things that some people neglect, to be honest. Like, I get it, sometimes it's not the most essential thing, but it can go a very, very long way in making your customers just that little bit more inclined to stay with you. But there's also a reason why I put this at like the third thing in the list. You have to start by just doing the one thing that they pay you to do. And only then can you worry about the other two things. But this is in kind of order of importance, I suppose. I hope those reflections are useful. For anybody who's running a software agency, definitely ask yourself, I think, those 3 questions. If you find yourself with clients that are not worth a lot, like for example, if your clients are only worth around 4 figures, there's definitely things that you could be doing in order to increase their lifetime value, right? So you have to be thinking about these kinds of things. I will add a little 4th extra bonus point in here, and I will basically say, part of increasing client lifetime value is finding the right clients. There are certain clients which will not value your services enough and will therefore not pay you enough, right? You can increase client lifetime value by a lot by doing these things, but also you need to find the right clients. I think that's a big part of increasing this value, is putting yourself in the position with the right people. That's an entire video of its own. In short, I will say finding the right clients is about finding the right niche and the right market. And I can share Hormozi's framework on finding a good market, but that's basically, you want a growing market, you want a market that has purchasing power, you want a market that's in deep pain, and you want a market that's easy to find. If you can find these 4 things, you got a winner. All of these are in a spectrum, right? Some people are easier to find, some less, but these are good criteria to look at when you're starting out, and then you just need to focus on that. And yeah, it's important to find the right people that value your services too. That's a big part of getting customers that are worth more. Anyway, I will leave today's video at that. Comment any questions that you might have about me or my business. I try and read those, and subscribe if you enjoyed.